Hey folks, welcome. We are going to be reading The Legend of the Jersey Devil by Trinka Hakes Noble, illustrated by Gerald Kelley. But before we get into the book, I just want to thank all of you that watched part 1 of our Haunted History series, and I also want to thank all of you that have liked, subscribed, commented. If you have not subscribed to our channel yet, please do so. We want you to be part of our family. This is Peterson Family Adventures, but we want you to be adventuring along with us. So if you can like, subscribe, get notifications about our upcoming videos, we have a lot planned. All right, we want you to experience those things with us as well. Well, we do have part 2 coming out next week. And my favorite part of part 1 was how we were able to kind of explore beyond the grave. No, not like that. We were able to actually hike beyond the literal gravestone and find what I believe to be the ruins of the Sybil Shaler homestead. Not this gravesite, we already found the gravesite. We were able to find the actual homestead, at least I don't know what else it would be. And as you can see, there was some more modern construction, and then there was some older bricks as well that we found. Now in the book that we were following, Atlantic County Ghost Stories, it does mention that there was some newer construction, how they tried to kind of rebuild the homestead in the 1960s. So that would kind of explain why there was some newer cinder block construction there, as well as the older clay bricks. But I think that's pretty cool, especially because I had never seen that before. I didn't know what we were going to find, so that was really nice to be able to find that. And this book, it's not an old book as you can see, but it was published in 2003. So you never know what's been destroyed or torn down, in the meantime. All right, let's get into our book. We're going to be reading about the Jersey Devil. And in our next video, we are going to be referencing our friend, our local legend, that is also very famous throughout the United States. We're not going to be focusing on him because there's a number of other haunts that we want to explore. We might do a separate video on him, but we are going to interview someone that has had an experience with the Jersey Devil. So stay tuned for part 2 of our Haunted History series for that interview. And if we see something out there, who knows? We'll definitely let you know. All right, let's get to reading. Long ago, in 1735, when the British Crown ruled New Jersey, a strange and terrifying event took place on a remote stretch of land called Leeds Point. In a poor hamlet of woodsmen's cottages and fishermen's huts, there lived a woman who had 12 children. Folks called her Mother Leeds. One dark autumn night close to All Hallows Eve, or Halloween, a fierce storm blew in from the Atlantic. Its savage winds and pounding rains tore at every shingle and shutter in this poor little settlement. On that stormy night, Mother Leeds was about to give birth to her 13th child. As was the custom, midwives were called to assist in the birth. Essie Turnbuckle hurried to serve her husband chickenfoot soup, then threw on her cloak and lit a lantern. "That Leeds woman is birthing again," she said with a worried frown. "I don't know when I'll return." Outside, she met Hattie Higby. The two clutched each other, bending into the raw wind. "'Tis rumored she dabbles in witchcraft," whispered Essie with fright. "But we must help." "Oh, aye," trembled Hattie. "But I shudder to think this being so close to Halloween." As Mother Leeds labored far into that dark, stormy night, she became more and more agitated. She already had 12 children and was angry that there would be one more. She didn't want this 13th child. Outside, the storm raged as Mother Leeds began to groan wildly, for the birth was near. Suddenly, Mother Leeds let out a savage howl and screamed, "Oh, let it be a devil!" In a flash of lightning and clap of thunder, Mother Leeds' 13th child was born. but it was no ordinary child. "'Tis said it was a monstrous creature that circled the room. Then flew up the chimney in a puff of smoke and out into the dark night. The two midwives fled, screaming and pounding on windows and doors. "Awake, ye all!" they shrieked. "The devil's among us! The devil's among us!" Candles flickered wildly, and lanterns swung violently, casting eerie shadows as folks rushed to heed the alarm. "What's all this?" demanded the mayor. Oh, such a hideous creature," stammered Essie, trembling from head to toe. "It had the big bony head of a horse, a long scaly body, and big bat wings sprouting out his back." Nay, more hideous than that," gasped Hattie, shaking like a leaf. "It had a forked tail, claws for hands, and the hooves of a goat." "I know hideous when I see it," bickered Essie. "It had 2 horns growing out his head, and eyes that burned red." "Nay, they glowed yellow," disagreed Hattie. "Red, I say," insisted Essie. In the weeks and months that followed, strange things began to happen. If crops failed, folks said it was the devil's fault. If chickens stopped laying eggs, the devil was to blame. He scared the sheep, caused wells to go dry, spooked horses, and turned over carts. He soured milk, stole pies, and toppled clotheslines. Children were kept indoors. As more stories were told and more sightings witnessed, news of the Jersey Devil spread quickly across the Pine Barrens. All mysterious events were blamed on him. Posses were sent out, but they always came back empty-handed. When a traveling preacher plodding along on his old nag got wind of the news, he proclaimed, "I can rid you good folks of this evil demon." He held a huge prayer meeting. Folks came from far and wide. He preached a fiery sermon that went on and on and on from morn till night, until finally he passed around his black preacher's hat. Folks gladly dropped in coins, relieved he'd finally finished. For a time, all was quiet. But later, when the preacher was traveling a lonely stretch of road, he suddenly felt hot breath on the back of his neck. "Get rid of me?" smirked the Jersey Devil. "Perhaps you should leave." With that, he snorted forth flames and smoke, which singed the preacher's hat. "Eek! Heaven help me!" screeched the preacher. He dug in his heels and hightailed it out of the Pine Barrens. Quaking with fear, he raced to the nearest stagecoach inn. The innkeeper thrust a tankard of local applejack into the preacher's quivering hands. "Here, preacher, have a sip of Jersey lightning. It'll steady your nerves." The preacher stood in front of the fire and told of his harrowing encounter with the Jersey Devil to all the inn's guests. Listening intently were a couple of city slickers. One was a circus owner from Philadelphia, and the other a land speculator from New York. Both were sly wheeler dealers. Immediately, each started hatching a plan to capture the Jersey Devil. "The Jersey Devil will be my star attraction," plotted the Philadelphia circus owner. "I'll charge a high fee and have money to burn." He jumped to his feet and shouted,
A reward of 100 gold crowns to anyone who captures the Jersey Devil, preferably alive. Not to be outdone by Philadelphia, the New York wheeler-dealer leaped to his feet. "I'll double it to 200 gold crowns, dead or alive," he shouted. For he had plans to stuff the devil, exhibit him in New York, and charge a high fee. "I'll be rich, the toast of the town," he schemed. In no time, devil hunters from New York descended on the Pine Barrens in droves. Fortune seekers from Philadelphia came with cages, chains, and traps. They trampled crops, knocked over fences. They cut down trees and drained swamps. They spooked horses, tipped over carts, and mistakenly captured cows, chickens, and sheep. Children were kept indoors. Why, they even stole a few pies for their supper. Until the good folks of the Pine Barrens had had enough of these outsiders. "Better the devil we know than the devil we don't," they agreed, and they decided to accept the Jersey Devil as one of their own. The Jersey Devil was touched when he heard this, so he did the good folks of the Pine Barrens a favor. In a fiery rage, he chased those outsiders back to Philadelphia and New York. And to make sure they never returned, he made many terrifying appearances down throughout the years. The most famous was during the 3rd week of January back in 1909. What should have been a peaceful winter's week was anything but. That week, the Jersey Devil was sighted outside the Pine Barrens in 30 or more towns. Thousands of people reported seeing either the Jersey Devil himself or numerous strange tracks in the snow. He hovered and hissed above a trolley car. He perched on the backyard sheds and clotheslines, sending housewives into swoons. Factories and schools were closed. Newspapers ran front-page articles. Police were on high alert. Posses were again sent out. But the dogs refused to track the creature. Even though the descriptions and accountings all differed, all agreed it was the Jersey Devil. Even to this day, hikers tell of a mysterious creature sighted on backwoods trails. Motorists have reported a strange being running alongside their cars, then darting back into the pines. And many experienced campers have been driven out by unearthly sounds on the darkest of nights. And so, the Pine Barrens, with its black swamps, dark woods, and murky bogs, has managed to preserve its wild and ancient ways and keep outsiders at bay. Thanks to the Jersey